So welcome everybody, good afternoon. I have, actually today is a little bit of a roller coaster. I'm going to start with a little bit of a story because this is and some of us on the call, many of us, our first LinkedIn Live. Last summer, my son went on a roller coaster. It was the first roller coaster ride. And he came off it with a very scared face of saying, I think my soul literally left my body. And there's these things that we do in life, long journeys where we've got fear or we've got excitement. And that's because we're at different stages of something. So portfolio career might actually be something new to many people, or you might already be on the journey. But what this is about is actually in life, we are not alone. So I was holding his hand actually all the way along. We're not alone. So whether you're in fear or your excitement listening, don't worry, we've got you. There's also, as I was connecting with people like Eileen on the call, no one person knows it all. And this is how it came about. Typically, you have LinkedIn Lives with like one-on-one people, but this was about having more people to the table. So I'll explain to you a little bit of how it's going to work. And we are more connected in answering that. And we have communities of people doing great things where we can actually go back and help each other if this is a path that you want to take. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to tell you a little bit about how it's going to run. And I'm just going to flash up a little bit of that for you. Today, we're really going to be as if we're at one table together. I'm going to call it an equity table, having a real interesting, lively conversation between 6 other experts who are running portfolio careers. They're going to give you a short introduction of what portfolio career they have, because actually you are so lucky to genuinely have people that are running portfolios in such diversity of what they're doing. And then we're going to ask them or go through these questions. It's not rehearsed in any way. So I'm not going to say, Eileen, can you tell me? Catherine, can you tell me? Because that's just too static. And we really wanted true authenticity for them to bring to you what changed for them. So what did you do and how did you do it? What were the do's and don'ts so you can pick up some of those lessons and perhaps you don't make some of the same mistakes? We learn and we fail fast. Benefits and drawbacks. And then now what for you? And really, that's really a lead in for you. And at the end, you'll be able to put some questions in. So I'm going to not share screen because this wasn't about presentation, but that was to give you a little bit of a structure of what we're going to do. I'm Chandra Brandt Larsen. I really believe in equity. So top down, I work with boards. Across, I work with companies. And bottom up, I have a number of projects. My portfolio career has really been a lot of projects and within corporate and working with boards. And I'd like to invite the others. Maybe we start with you, Rebecca, in terms of just a little bit of an introduction around who you are and give a view of your portfolio career.
Thanks, Chantal. So Rebecca Stagg here. So my background is in the field of human resources. And in terms of my portfolio, I work with a corporate in generalist HR. And then I've also got my own business where I work in the field of career coaching as well. Shall I pass over to Iona now?
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for inviting me. My name is Ioana Cozălescu-Kind. I have a background in social work and nonprofit management, and I now work in social media. I do consultancy for nonprofit organizations, but also really just social media for brands, for solopreneurs, all the portfolio around social media marketing, especially for women at midlife and older. And I'm very happy to be here.
Who do you want to pass the baton on to?
Yes, to Alexandra, please.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. Good evening, good morning, wherever you are. My name is Ola Potrekos, and I'm happy to share with you a little bit today about my career portfolio experience, which started also in HR, like Rebecca's, and took me to founding or co-founding actually something called Shake Up the Workplace, where we shape human-centric workplaces. We work on culture, learning transformations, leadership transformations. during that period when I was outside of corporate world, I also got very interested in something called Agile HR. And I just wanted to train myself in it. And I loved it so much and I resonated with it so much that I was approached by the organization if I could be their trainer. And since then, I'm also training for them. So sometimes the portfolio career just knocks on your door, or people that see your passion knock on your door. Currently, I am combining Shake Up the Workplace Agile HR with a role that is back in corporate, and it's spearheading learning for supply chain at Adidas on a global level. What took me here is actually my health crisis. I've been diagnosed with breast cancer 2 years ago, and I took a choice to come back to the corporate world to stabilize myself and to have the focus. And I'm gonna pass it on to Eileen.
Should probably unmute, shouldn't I? Hi everyone, I'm Eileen. I am going to call myself a people first human leader. But before that, I'm a mother, a wife, a daughter, a sister, and a friend, I hope, to many. And I'd love to have these wonderful women in that camp also, because I think it's super important to be empowering one another. I've spent the last 15 years or so navigating the corporate world. Predominantly, I'm going to use the word HR, but I do loathe that term because people are not resources. So I'd like to say the people world. And I feel super privileged to have worked with some of the leading tech brands that are out there in the market and help them grow from strength to strength. I decided this summer, when I took a bit of a shift and stepped back, and as an individual, I wanted to unmask my neurospicy life and really move away from dysfunctional compliance and step into a world where I had the flexibility, to which I'm now a fractional chief of staff for a growth company. So I work predominantly with startups and scale-ups that are looking to grow, whether it's go-to-market strategies or headcount. But the idea for me is just really going in and making sure that companies see that they're human businesses before they're anything else. So thank you for Chantal in inviting me to the table. I'm super excited to be here. Oh, I need to pass the baton, don't I? Catherine, definitely not least. Catherine, the baton's over to you.
Good evening. Hello, everyone from Zurich. Thank you, our dear host Chantal and our whole team. And our dear audience, warm welcome also from my side. I'm Katrin Jayen, a bit of cultural mixed background privately. I'm Asian European grown up mixed. Yeah. For my background, I'm MBA IT finance. I once upon a time worked for different corporates in 8 countries, IT, ICT sector. Now I have a portfolio career bridging to our topic today. I'm a free-time university lecturer lecturing about data analytics, AI, leadership in the age of AI, social media monitoring, data analytics. I'm a 5-time board member in German Switzerland, French Switzerland, and Germany, all AI IT tech mandates. And I do have some partnerships in companies such as Global Digital Board Academy, where we certify board members, and the Swiss Future Institute, where we entertain, educate, certify non-IT line AI and future skills. Next to that, I'm jury member such as for ETH University, Digital Shapers, and one of the young global leaders from the St. Gallen Symposium. Welcome from my side.
Absolutely brilliant, all. I think what's quite clear in hearing those introductions or people will be that you've been able to define your own path. So what was it that changed for you? I think Ola and Eileen, you kind of touched on it. So maybe actually, Catherine, let's start with you. What was it that changed for you? Because you've been on this path for a very long time. In terms of what started, what was the seed that thought, you know what, I'm going to leave that path and forge my own path, which is very powerful. What was it that changed?
Between us imagine at a dinner table, you claimed it. It's freedom. Freedom to live out my diverse skill set and interest, and hence some security, stability for myself. It's also becoming you. For me, it's a journey, not a fixed point. Becoming you. and having a diverse combination of income streams and addressing enough variety to live out myself and not to get bored at the same time. I like to refer to the Japanese ikigai, the secret of a long, happy life. It's a diagram, keep it short to the core. It is about do what you love, what you are good at, what somehow a world or a part of the market at least needs, and where you can be paid for. Ideally, it is the overlapping spot. Do what you love, what you can, what somebody needs, and you can get paid for. I like to picture in very easy pictures. That is, I see myself not as a flamingo on one leg, but rather as a spider. If you try to kick one of my legs, I still have 7 others. So I will make it stable in the long run. That's my picture where I
love that
started my
analogy.
portfolio career. So I'm grounded on my feet. I will not lose. I plan and execute on the long run in the combination.
Actually, it's a beautiful way to think about it, because stability, and I won't tell your stories, but when I've spoken to many of you, stability was at the heart. Would anyone else like to voice, what was their instigator, or go a little bit deeper into what they said?
Yeah, I'd love to. So for me, it was not a choice. My husband passed away of cancer 12 years ago. I loved the job that I was in. I had a job in social work. It was my dream job that I came for in Switzerland for. I was working with Romania, my home country. It was my absolutely dream job to do as a social worker. At 28, 29, I had project management. And then when he got sick of cancer and passed away in 6 weeks, I had a baby and a toddler. My stability in that job crashed and it did not recover. Even if I did a master's degree after he passed with 2 small kids, I could not get to that place of having one job and having that stability as a single mom in Switzerland. So I had a burnout. I felt like I got kicked out of this really stable way where I was before. And it took me years to find a way I did not find back. I tried and it felt like a glass ceiling. Everyone said, well, I'm not flexible enough as a single mom. And it was not a free choice. It was more of, okay, so now what? So instead of thinking, why me? Why did this happen to me? We were so amazing, stable. I did everything right. Why? To shift towards, okay, now what? It is not possible for me to go there back. So now what I'm going to do? And since I also have ADHD, which came out way later, I tried a lot of things for free because that was easy and I'm a social worker. And it took me a long time to actually ask for money and build a career that actually pays me also and does not just do community work. I'm amazing of community work, community building for free. But I had to level up financially on my own. And I am here for all the people who did not choose this freely or out of self-development and so on, but who have to choose it, who maybe have burnouts or are in between jobs, who lost their jobs during Corona and so on, to say, okay, so now what? And I think LinkedIn and social media is a huge opportunity for a lot of minorities and a lot of people who cannot be on site in corporate jobs for various reasons. And I'm here for all the people who did not choose it, but are now around these seas trying to find a way to get some stability back. And I think the portfolio career, like Katrin said, it gets you more stable with more points, but it is really hard to overlook. Complexity is huge. And I really do think that they need to have mentorship or look at other people's how they do it, because it's not as easy as just having one job and that's it.
I think the complexity is such a key thing that's overlooked. And I think in the conversations I've had, and I'm super early in my journey, I've only been really in the fractional space for 7 months now. And I think the key thing is there's a difference between contracting and fractional. And I think the assumption is, oh, okay, so you're just contracting. And I think along the way, to your point, Iona, you do pick up projects and smaller pieces of work, and that's okay. But I think the real benefit of a true fractional or portfolio career is being able to Catherine's point, have a sea of opportunities that are coming, and you've got residual income from different avenues rather than it being just that one banker or one company or scope of work that you're focusing on. That's the mind shift, and I think it's not an easy one to make.
I agree. I mean, in the beginning, you are a beginner in all these 4 or 5 jobs that you're doing. So you're a beginner. It can be very destabilizing. But as you grow and go on, you will be an expert at 5 jobs. So it takes you a while, but then the transferable skills, you'll be very good at this, and this. So it's going to be like, I feel like really, really, really hard. Everywhere you're just, and then shoot, it can go up. Like I feel for me right now, after exponentially, because my skills are good in all of these different areas. But like you said, Eileen, I mean, it's a complexity level expert, I feel.
I can only speak from my own experience, and the reason that I decided to make the shift is I was pretty tired of being in environments where you deliver on work even though there's a part of you that's pushed back on, regardless of what it is, as much as possible, but you're there to deliver and do a role. And I think that was the biggest frustration for me, in that you would have companies bringing consultants and, you know, the big 4, and they'd give the advice, and it's like, I've just told you this. Why have we now just paid 40 or X amount to reconfirm what you're paying me a perm salary for? So I think for me it was moving away, and I am going to, I think, coin this phrase of dysfunctional compliance in, I'm here to pull the mirror up and show you what's working and what isn't, and I really want to help you rectify that. And I think in some organizations they take that medicine better from an external party than they do from those that actually work within the organization. I don't know why, whether it's a trust issue or a psychological, I'm sure there's some deep underlying reason as to why that is the case. But yeah, that was really why I just thought I need to make that step. And as a neurodivergent individual, and still going through another layer of diagnosis actually for ASD, and that unraveling journey, it's been very, very interesting to think, oh, okay, this now makes sense as to why I prefer the ability to go in and get stuff started, but I don't want that monotony of just repeating over and over again. I just get bored. Yeah, so I don't know where I've taken this down a rabbit hole.
I think that was
that's my point.
I think that really resonates actually, because I think most people know on my profile I'm autistic ADHD. So there's something that resonates with having multiple pieces. So I actually really agree with Catherine on that, and the joy of doing that. But there's also this joy, you bring in another factor of being able to have this hat that you wear that allows to put the mirror up, because you're not on the inside. There is this external hat, but at the same time, you're able to refine your expertise at your pace. There was something, I'm a very fast person. My husband proposed me on an escalator. So it's like I'm able to keep the pace. And whilst I agree with Iona, you might not be able to be at that level with everything yet, you do actually get to a level of expertise in your chosen areas. And I think there's a little bit of a myth. You know, there's this saying, jack of all trades, master of none. Maybe for me, if I'm neurodivergent, actually I can be, because I go so deep into the things that I'm passionate about that you can. And sometimes the internal structures within companies I found too confining to not be able to do that. So for me to have these other legs and arms actually allowed me to build up the expertise that I was building anyway. And if I couldn't use it in the internal structure, like board advisory was the first thing that I built up 8 years ago. then actually I could increase and sharpen that pencil outside. Rebecca, we haven't heard from you in terms of what sparked your piece.
Yeah, sure. So I guess a bit similar to Iona, I probably wouldn't have gone down the portfolio route if it wasn't to things that happened in life. So for me, it was a divorce actually, and I had some options to consider. I guess probably the option that many people may have taken was I was working part-time at that point, and I could have gone full-time and just stayed sort of in a corporate life. But actually, I guess maybe there was a bit of a life journey of learning that actually, change can happen, and that you can, deal with this and manage this, and it creates opportunities. And so I thought about, well, actually, the skills I've got that I'm not using at the moment, and actually, what would it be like to have my own business? So, I just decided to be a bit brave, but also actually there was an element of me that was thinking about actually, and I think to your point, Katrin, about that I quite liked that image of that spider, because I was thinking, right, well, actually, I don't want to have all my eggs in one basket. I'm going to create another basket over here that utilizes skills that, I don't feel I'm always using. It would be great to start my own business up. So I decided, right, I'm going to start my own business, and I love coaching and I'd like to do more of that. So let's do career coaching. And now, yeah, I feel it's growing. I'm getting to work with other companies doing other things, and it's increased my confidence. It's given me more stability actually at a time when I thought this is, I'm feeling really unstable, actually lots of change in my life. And I'm really, really pleased I made that decision, and I've moved into a portfolio career. So I guess to anyone listening today thinking it's a bit scary, it's a bit daunting, I hear you, and I've experienced all those emotions as well. But I guess it's just that, feel the fear, and sometimes we need to do it anyway. And, and I'm really pleased I did. And what a wonderful community I've, got involved in and embraced through this portfolio career as well.
And what would be your do's and don'ts? We're going to start with you because you were the last to speak. We're trying to do the tonality. But what would be the do's and don'ts that really helped you? Because you mentioned community, and I obviously do know your story as well. But what would you advise people on how to get started, or things they might want to think about not doing?
Definitely use your community, use your network, and build your network. I've definitely, reached out and spoken to, many, many people, and just sharing kind of the journey you're on, what you're looking for, asking for people's advice, asking for connections, and also then just sharing back, people, how can I help you? What challenges are you facing? Problems, connections. And I think, I just think it's something really heartening, actually. I just feel like so many people reach out and help each other, and it just restores my faith in humanity, really, that actually what a supportive community there is out there, and particularly in the portfolio space. Actually, if there's something I'm not sure on that one, let me have a reflection on it, let me reach out to my community. There will always be at least probably 2 or 3 people who will come back really quickly and say, hey, yeah, I've got some advice on this, pop some time and let's have a chat. And these are people who, I might not even know, actually, it's a network through a network. And and it's been great to be able to offer that same support to other people. So yeah, my definite do is, utilize your network, build your network, and invest time in that. How about others?
Anyone else?
I feel that there are some skills that if you manage those, there's going to be like a leverage especially for portfolio careers. And one of them is asking for money. So if you just get employed by one job, then it's just one conversation around money that you have, and then you'll be in some bracket, and then slowly, so you don't have to, you can be like, oh, it's not fair, pay gap, but you're just there, and the money comes in. But if you have a portfolio career, you cannot skip learning how to ask for money, more money, because if you don't, you're going to end up doing a lot of amazing work for little to no money. And this is one of the most important skills, especially for women, extremely challenging to do, because they get told more no's like we have data on this. This is not something we imagine. In the founders world, they get only 2%, so they do get told more no's. So leveraging this asking for money skill set and being mindful that you will encounter twice as much, 3 times as much no and rejection, and becoming really good at having a good mindset around that, then you can get booked out of this 10% of yeses. So that's my
I think it's interesting, isn't it? Because we've got so much data that tells us about how there is a gender pay gap in the permanent environment. We've got data that comes through, and I think it's something like less than 2 pence per pound, depending on where you are, obviously, in the world. But on average, it's about 2 pence per pound that every VC or venture capitalist or private equity firm that invests in a woman-founded business, well, less than 2 pence for every pound goes to a female, and then the rest typically goes to white middle-class males. The challenge is even further when we then dissect that and we look at the diversity within that for Black women or individuals that are neurodivergent, or the other layers of diversity within those. It's absolutely horrific. The numbers are really bad. So I would totally agree, having the confidence to have those conversations up front, accepting, and I don't like using the word resilience because I think resilience actually comes from trauma, but having the confidence to keep asking and being tenacious to push back and know your worth is super, super important. And it's not about, I know my worth in order to keep the lights on, is I know my worth to have the life that I deserve. And that's a very different proposition.
Absolutely. And with the numbers, unfortunately, they're not only bad. In Switzerland, they're decreasing. So 2023, women get even less money. So we are also in Switzerland in a really tough market. But like you said, it's the ask. So to be confident, I also don't like this, around women, they get so much feedback on your voice, on your how you dress, how you're assertive, not assertive. This is so much noise when actually the issues are somewhere else. And it's distracting and triggering them emotionally and distracting from the facts. And to build this confidence, mentorship is absolutely essential. To say, listen, you are running a tougher race. And like you said, women of color, even tougher. This data is here. So let's get you a network that is actually helping you out and not just telling you to believe or be positive. And building that confidence means you get positive feedback and you get results. And that's so hard to build when you don't see those results so quickly, and when you don't get that positive feedback. That's when you need the mentorship because you are running. Yes.
Speaking of data, Iona, speaking of the life you deserve, you mentioned, Eileen. Imagine if there is only one life and your time on Earth is limited. I like to say, if nobody can prove me differently from a science perspective, we assume this is the case. What would you love to do? And what hinders you in doing it now? On the journey of becoming you, I pointed out before, it is a long path to go, not a point, a path. Don't do the 9-to-5 job unless it makes you happy. That's totally fine if you do so. Do something amazing. Do something which is really you, which feels right. Imagine, I like to picture another of my pictures. Yeah. If you were a fish in a box and you feel comfortable, it gives you some safety, some regular walls, some known, that's totally fine. But imagine if you were a fish in a box and you feel the walls, you feel your limits, and you feel one day, well, what's wrong? Is it you? Is it the box? Is it the criticism you can change and you can resonate and you can change into something constructive? Or imagine you were no more limited. You were really the little fish in the big ocean, swimming out one day, testing out your possibilities, redefining your boundaries, and living out your skill set in a diverse new dimension, becoming you. Imagine you were a product. For what do you stand for? Some say, okay, follow your passion. I say, okay, that's okay. But you need to be good at it and constantly trained in becoming better. And you need to be disciplined, especially if you focus on a portfolio career. And don't forget the business side. You need to monetize and scale. Don't forget the tech side. You mentioned the data before, because even if you are not tech, use it. Apply AI to work for you and with you. Once you define your core, your product, service, what you stand for according to your values with the Ikigai mentioned before, apply AI to work for you. Apply, define, automate business model processes, simplify, automate, scale, and connect the dots, the processes. Because you are at the end of the day not an island, you are not alone. Involve people, connect the dots, bring into life a portfolio career.
If I can add, maybe. Sorry, Chantal. Go for it.
No, go on.
I just wanted to pick the discipline thing because that really resonates with me. And I remember the moment where I was not disciplined enough to even draw my own boundaries. And that's very risky when you have this passion, when you have this, heartbeat to do and you want to do it all. I'm like this, right? I get excited. I love to work with others, but I needed to really learn to set boundaries because suddenly I was doing 3 different things and I needed to be able to communicate it to all my other business clients, business partners, to my family, but also to myself. So being clear on your boundaries and how you spend your time is even more challenging when you have portfolio careers. So that's my 3 cents to the discipline and how critical it is and how it will impact your health if you don't do it. So yeah, that's a few cents from me.
And I'll add to that as well, because I think Ola pushed back on me as well, because we are co-founders in ShakeUp, but it's a path, right? I mean, as you went out and you built your portfolio, there was a redefining of boundaries, and it goes back to what Katrin says, it's a journey. And I think about my journey's been like 8 years in portfolio career, but the thing, if I go to it, it was, what do I stand for? So I think that's really important, because if you stand for something, you have a purpose, and it's a journey, and you might not get everything right, you're more willing to refine it, and you're more willing to actually capture the opportunities. Sometimes, I don't know how it happens, but I do believe in this positive attraction, that the universe, like, oh yeah, that makes sense within my portfolio. But you're really clear about what to accept and what to say no to, and you get even more clearer on your worth, on your boundaries, if you have this clarity around what you stand for and this clarity around your purpose. What also helped me was I set my own personal board. And actually, Ola, you were on my personal board as well. No, but it was like, who is on my personal board that can help me with this purpose? What might I be lacking? So Iona, when you mentioned, like, I need to be able to ask for, what I'm worth. If you feel there's things that you are hesitant about, or you're a little bit nervous about, I don't know how to sell, I don't know how to build relationships, I don't know how to get more into that space, which is part of removing these limits, right? We can look at how do we remove limits. If that's our purpose, what's limiting us? How do we increase our environment? Part of that actually is people, relationships. If you don't know, someone will. If you don't know who can help you, which is what Rebecca was saying, right? So I think there's this, when we think about boardrooms, and although I advise boardrooms, who is on your personal board? Who is on Team Eileen? Who is on Team Rebecca? Who's on Team Katrin? And you only but grow that to have someone that helps navigate you. So that was one of the biggest tools. The second tool in terms of boundaries, if you're in corporate, not all of us still are, some of us still are, but was really for me, when some corporates, I needed to make sure, like to say, I need to make sure within the contract that I can do this work, be it university lecturing, be it speaking opportunities. So it might be that you do have to have a conversation with your employer to make sure you don't have like limitations in your contract that doesn't allow you to do that, because we're no longer working in the Victorian times. We are working in 2024, almost in 2025, where the work has shifted, and we'll go on to the end. There's some research happening in this area where we're redefining work. And I do know that the portfolio career isn't just the 6 of us on this call, but those would be the 2 kind of practical how-tos that I would speak to, which is have your own board and have your own and really think about it from a practical point of view as contract, as well as what you've added around boundaries and relationships and all the mindset stuff that you added, Catherine. Any other practical how-tos?
I wrote my master's degree on change management, and having a personal board was one of the elements of success of managing complex change, and especially as a person, so having a diverse personal board. I think with women, they get so many opportunities that are actually hidden workloads. Like you have the opportunity to write the protocol, you have the opportunity to organize events, and nobody pays you, or it's a thank you, maybe. So I think the big risk for women a lot of time is that this kind of hidden opportunities of internships and organizing things that they're amazing at do not get paid. So because I really navigated this challenge of finding out in these huge areas of everything I can do and be very good at, which ones are the ones that actually help you build a stable income. And networking can be a bit of a risk. Yeah.
But how did you do that? For someone on the call, and they might be watching later in the recording, right? But there are going to be people there, because we do know that a lot of us get asked for free labor, and on the ones that you have said. How did you turn that from a, yes, I volunteer, or the bits that you volunteer for, the bit where you define this is going to be paid?
So I started to look at where did nobody raise their hand. I used to be like, oh, I can do this quickly, and be a bit more mindful to not be the one to step in immediately there when nobody is raising their hand, and think maybe there's a reason why nobody is raising their hand, because it's unpaid. And so maybe if you do it in your 20s, it's different than in your 40s. So one reason was to stop and think, why is this unpaid? So why is this huge task load unpaid? Second of all, to look more, what are high-paying skills, and realize they are not that complex. Like this is on LinkedIn, it can be so flashy. And actually, when you look behind the scenes and entrepreneurship gives you that, you're like, oh, wait a second, these are normal. I've been at Swiss Startup Nights for 2 days now, but these are normal people. They get millions. This man, like in their 20s, like, wait a second, like this is not genius out of this world. So it helped me look what are high-paying skills, and I'm going to position myself into that. And I'm not going to wait for 10 years for someone else to position me. I'm going to start giving my 5 cents on LinkedIn on these trends, on personal branding, on digital fundraising. Before anyone asks, I'm saying, I see this trend, and this is what I would recommend. This is what I do. So you yourself position yourself as an expert. So these are the 2 things. I would start look what are high-paying skills right now in need and demand, and how can I go there, and try to stay focused on those and not get distracted by the ones that I can easily do, and a lot of people ask me to do them for free. This would be my 2 big things. Look on the high skills, what are really good paid skills, and position yourself there.
I mean, when people drag me onto a call, I often ask for like keynote. I said, what's the budget? Right? You always make an assessment in terms of what it is. And sometimes when it's like, are you paying for flight? Like, it shouldn't be at my cost. So there is a budget conversation up front, but there is an assessment if it's a not-for-profit or so forth, right? But I think budget, I'm not afraid to have that budget conversation with people would be one ad. Eileen.
I was just going to say that I agree with what you're saying, but it's almost assuming that people don't understand what they're good at rather than looking at the gaps in the market. And I think if you're very early out in your career and you're looking at where do I want to go with this, and you're looking at gaps in the market and you're thinking, actually, I could really carve out a career there, then fine, I get that. But I think if someone is looking at making the jump from corporate today into the portfolio or fractional space, I think it's really anchoring down on the skills that you have, but what you do best. And it lends itself to what Catherine said earlier. When you're talking about, most roles are like here to here, but when you go into the fractional portfolio, you tend to focus on a specific area, and then it spiders out within that. And I think it's really about understanding, when you're having conversations, what makes you sit up? What gets that fire going in your belly? What do you really enjoy? And where does your success tingle for you to say, I really want to penetrate and do more of that work? And then once you've got that and you can anchor that, that's what you take to market, and you network and you lean on your board of people that you're creating on a personal level. That's when you start building, this is my portfolio, this is my world of fractional work that I'm going to deliver, and you almost systemize that. And I think that that's the difference. It's, if you're navigating what can I do, I feel like that's almost a different conversation to what we're potentially having here, but I could be totally wrong.
I think we're referring to the point of view of making sure that we're paid for it, in terms of the value of where we ask for the money and where we're asked to do free tasks. So I think where Iona was talking about was there's lots of free stuff versus what are the things that are in demand that we can ask more money for them, because often people get asked for free work, volunteer work that we get asked for. I know Catherine and Rebecca, you work a lot by collaboration, and I think that you can demand, I think that's another good way to be defining the value and collaborative space to ensure that you're paid, right? And defining your worth, in these areas. Would you have anything to add that would help people define and make sure they price? Catherine, you're nodding your head. You're on mute. Unmute, or maybe I can unmute you.
Thank you, Chantal.
Yeah, now I can hear you.
You have a portfolio career. You have actually several balls in the air. You need to focus and set clear priorities, set clear boundaries from the beginning, not when it's too late, when you have escalation, when you have problems. You set it from the beginning, like in every good, healthy relationship from private to business. Test, fail, do better. Succeed, do better. Yeah. The question, statistically very often with women, with regard to monetize, dear women, monetize and scale. There are two sides, offer, demand.
Yeah.
If you do what you love to do, you're good at, you train, you become naturally better. If you do it every day, train, and you are good and love and do better, monetize. Because if you don't, everything has a price, has a value. Yeah, with your data, with your time, with frustration, with not succeeding, with lessons learned, with monetary value, everything. Nothing good comes for free. Nothing really good comes for free. Yeah. Don't offer your services for free unless it gives you something. Yeah. Don't offer it for free, because you in your work have value. Yeah. If you do it, and many do somehow and are not really helping, I'm addressing those. Otherwise, apart from that, it's your own choice. Yeah, free choice. Don't, because you are destroying the market value next to your own, next to all other women offering similar services. Well, if she's doing it for free, why we should pay you? It's a respect, appreciation, because I repeat what seemed important to me, because you and your work are of ultimate value. Yeah. And all this make again the combination and in the long brief also necessity to survive, so survive very well, yeah, to do very well in what you are doing in the portfolio career combination. And yes, it is possible. You can do it with confidence. Yeah, I don't say overconfidence, but with a healthy confidence. If you are good at, if there's market, there's demand, and you are the one in combination with a unique skill set, go for it. There's definitely, because it's good, a price for it. Yes, we can.
And I think there's the relationship with, when you're close to speaking to your network and your market, you should be defining value because your understanding of what's value to them. I think we've covered do's, don'ts. Actually, we've covered benefits and drawbacks. Now, what for you, if we have anything that anyone wants to share next, or anything that we've missed, anything that I've missed or not given a chance for someone to say?
I have one last practical maybe tip for networking. So as I said, networking is also an area where women can lose a lot of time because they may be more socializing than networking intentionally for opportunities. And what to do if you are not in those networks that money and opportunities go around. So what if you just lost your job, you're in burnout, you just are in between things, you're just sick or have caregiving needs? What do you do when you are not in those networks? Everyone says network, but all you have is like a micro club, Schule, Apero, and it's not the people with the huge opportunities for you. There is where social media is so amazing. And I have connected with people that I would have never met in real life with amazing positions. Also you, Chantal, I saw you on Women Working Switzerland. I looked on LinkedIn. I was like, oh my God, this it's impressive. And I would really encourage, so if you're not in those networks yet, not the high power decision money-making networks yet, to really use social media, because it still is one of the most amazing ways to reach someone directly that in a huge apero you would not get to talk. And then really say, can we have a Zoom call? Can you mentor me if it's too much time because you're busy? Can I be in your environment? This is powerful networking more than socializing. And then I absolutely will go for free. I am here and I see the value is tremendous. But it's more intentional to say, I'm looking for opportunities. I like the people and I want to grow professionally. And this is absolutely okay. So that's my tip for networking and social media.
I would say also, if you go to those events, most organizers will share the list of the people that have attended. So if you get an attendee list, then reaching out to them, you're quite right, Iona, obviously via social, then at least it gives you, because otherwise you miss everyone. So I would definitely second that thought process.
One other tip from my side is never assume people know what you're doing. Because with a portfolio career, you might be doing, like in my case, 3 different things, right? And always talk to your current clients about the other things you're doing. Show them how this could benefit them, because it's really about building on your strengths, on your passions, but also making sure people really understand. And to add to the networking, make sure your whatever social networks you're on, you're really articulating well what you're doing. And it's not always easy with a portfolio career, but it's also something that we have to get better and better at, because otherwise people will not understand and will not come to you.
I'd add to that as well. I think just being curious as well when you're networking and asking lots of questions, and just trying to understand what are the challenges people are facing, what are the problems they're up at night thinking about, and then reflecting and thinking how do my skills and expertise and knowledge enable to overcome some of those problems. Because then you can start sort of moving into future sort of focused conversations where you're talking about, this is how I can help you, and let me talk that through with you, and let me get your ideas, and and move forward.
And anyone want to share now what for them, if there's anything different, or is it more the same? Should we do a little round robin?
I can start, and it's not going to be now what, but more around a reflection that came to my life. We have seasons of life. We can be in summer, we can be in winter. And depending on which season of life you are, you might be doing different career choices. If you have flexibility and freedom as your value, maybe look into your seasons of life. What in the current season of your life would serve you best? Yourself, your well-being, your family's well-being. So that's my 5 cents to the discussion, and thank you for having me.
You're welcome.
I'm going to move into more of my own business, and so I can take on, a wider variety of different clients. So yeah, starting to flip slightly into a bit more of a different career, but I'm excited about it. And I don't know if I would have done that, 3, 4, 5 years ago.
I'd love to share that wherever you are, if you feel the experts know, I think Chantal also touched on that, know everything already, and it triggers your perfectionism and your fear of not being good enough, of being an imposter and so on, to remind yourself that the biggest skill that you have is that you can learn quickly, and you can come to the table and say, well, I've never done this before, but I can learn really quickly. And yes, there's going to be mistakes. I do not have an eye for details, but I have an eye for complexity. And remind yourself that no expert knows everything. And additionally, in the age of AI, this knowing everything is a skill that is not so highly valued anymore. It's an old skill, and the new one is really this connecting people one, is seeing trends, adjusting trends, agility, very human skills. And wherever you are, if you feel like an imposter, to remind yourself that your learning skill is the one that you bring to the table, and you can really learn, especially with good mentors. Everyone can learn in their own pace, at home, at work. Like, you can learn anything sooner or later. So really go that and come to the table, even if you don't know 90% of what they ask, and say, yes, I know 10%, I can learn the rest.
Yeah, I thought I would definitely support what Iona just said, ironically, because I think, again, the data suggests women going into any role expect to know 100% of what might be on a job description or the recommendations, but males are more confident, and if they have 48% of what's listed, they'll still go for it. So let's take a leaf out of that and lean into that 48% skill set. What's next for me is more of the same. It's networking, spreading my wings a bit further, doing some more with European-based clients, being over here in the UK, and just enjoying what I do, and more importantly, ensuring that I remain my authentic self, because I think that's super, super important to me in this season of my life.
What's in for me?
Catherine?
What's coming next for me? I started with you with a picture. I'm not a flamingo. I close with the same picture. I'm rather a spider. So you try to kick one of my legs, there are 7 others. I will stand stable. I'm playing for the long one. I'm working for the long one with a long breath. Swiss Future Institute, my team and I, we're doing good. Yeah, we're grounded and on our team feet. We will not lose. I plan and execute with a certain amount of discipline. Ladies, you mentioned it, especially important if you have several balls in the air, to clearly set your priorities and to clearly set your boundaries. And it starts with you, not with the others finger pointing. It starts ultimately with you to communicate what is possible, what is not possible, also to clearly set expectations. It starts with you and what you make out of it. What I like to share with you also, dear audience, believe in yourself as if nobody else does. Who knows which fish you are? You might be the happy or not happy fish in your little box. You might be the little one in the big ocean. If you sense it, and nobody else should know better about your skills, about your skill combination, about your values, about what you are aiming for in life than yourself. then go for it. Go for the ocean if you feel this is the right time doing it. Simply jump, swim. Otherwise, you will never experience your full capabilities in this only life. I think you are the ultimate producer of your life. Yeah, because you are ultimately, I like to say it, my partners and clients already knows it from me. You are ultimately responsible in your life for all the things you do and also for all the things you don't do. Yeah, then don't complain. You should better know and better know than everybody else. So stand up for yourself, stand up for yourself, stand up for your dreams, for your values, and start living it to the full extent. And if it's the right way for you to go with a portfolio career, go for it. I warmly invite you. Thank you.
Gosh, don't know how to follow that. I think for me, it's a little bit like it's more of the same, but amplified, actually. It's about how do we, it's always been about how can I have more impact and how can I help others and how can I go back for others. That structure is always there from the top across and from the bottom up, of really empowering others to be the best that they can be, to have the same freedom if they want it. Which I really want to leave Catherine's words on that in terms of resonating. But for me, it's about more of that. And I think about my path that it's grown. I just started off on one board roll and it was like 3 board rolls, but it's grown. So really, I think, Catherine, you very much summarized that. Leading to that, when we talk about what's next, there are just 2 things that I want to share. There is a toolkit which now looks slightly squashed. I'm hoping that you're seeing it differently on the live stream. There is a toolkit for personal board, building your own personal board on the QR code, or you can go to mysystematicx.com/personal board. And then there is an important piece of research that I mentioned at the beginning from the wonderful Andrea Fernandez. It's got her email there as well, but there is the QR code for the research, because this is not something that's fictional. This is something that's more than just the people on this call, and more people are having a portfolio career. So if you would like to take part in that research, please do so. You can scan the QR code, or Andrea's email is there. And thank you very much, everyone who's watching this later, who's been with us. Thank you very much.
Thank you.